Today, this week, put money in your account, your savings account for land. And so the key to your whole life up until then, and still, is that you were able to live on virtually nothing, $1,200 a month.
Yes, and that included health insurance and car insurance.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today I'm here talking with Brian. Hi Brian.
How's it going, Bob?
And Brian has an amazing channel called Off-Grid Backcountry Adventures. And in this video, Brian and I are just going to talk about his journey to being here on his own land. I know a lot of you are very interested in land. And then in another video, so you have to watch for that one, it'll come out about the same time, we'll take a tour of his property and all the details, and we'll do all that in another video. So how did you end up living in a Tacoma 7 years ago?
Well, you know, when I was a kid growing up in Kansas, we grew up in an area that's heavily wooded. We had a lake. My brothers and I were always out fishing every day. We never spent any time inside. And I got away from that in the corporate world. I thought I just had to work all the time. And sometimes I would work, I mean, gosh, I had like 2 years where I worked 7 days a week. And I got to the point to where I lost myself in that. And I'd go back out in nature and I began to reconnect with who I was. And I thought one day, man, what if I could do this full time? So I started testing it out. I'd go out for 3 or 4 weeks at a time and see if I could still work on the road. And I was making it happen. I was still keeping in touch with clients. And then I finally cut the cord, and that was the best feeling on the planet. It was like a breath of fresh air. It breathed life into me again, and it got me out of my funk, got me active. I used to weigh a lot more when I was in the corporate world. When I was sick, I got up to almost 250 pounds. It's something that really brought me back from the edge, because I was in the depths of despair. If I would have stayed in that corporate environment, I would have died early. It ate at me. I felt like I was a sellout. I didn't believe in what I was doing. And so I realized I'm like, I can change myself, and I can change the environment that I'm in to be less stressful and be more amicable with my way of life. And so when I made that change, it was like, boom, my life went from feeling like it was going downhill to like rocketing up. And it's been that way ever since.
So I know a lot of you are watching this channel, my channel, Brian's channel, all channels, because secretly, whether you'll admit it to yourself or not, you hate the corporate rat race as much as anyone does.
Yeah.
And yet you'd think there's no other alternative. There is an alternative, and Brian's going to explain to you exactly how to take that alternative.
Yep.
So you went on the road in your Tacoma, which is a tiny little rig. Mm-hmm. So how did you support yourself for the last 7 years?
Well, when I initially hit the road, I was doing odd jobs. I met this one guy named Mike, and he was like, he's like, I know you love to hike and everything. He's like, I got this water rights creek that starts way up in the wilderness area, and it's a big hike up there. And he said, I'm not getting the flow I used to. I'm certain a tree fell over and is blocking that. Would you mind hiking up there and just clearing that if there's anything on there? I said, yeah, that's fine. So I went and did that, and then I got back and he gave me a couple $100, and I thought, I go hike for free every day with Sierra. And now I get to hike up in this wilderness area and work on water rights stuff. And there was something that was diverting the creek, so I got it all squared away. And I thought, I could do this for everybody around here, because all these ranchers are getting older. They're all in their 70s. So I started putting it out there. Hey, I'm available. You know, if y'all need any help, I can clean up anything. Because I had Sierra with me, so I had to work outdoors. I wasn't going to leave her in my truck all day. And that got me, my phone rang off the hook. Hey, can you come help us with this landscaping thing? Hey, can you come help me move a few rocks? Can you come help feed my boiler or chop or chainsaw wood for me for the wintertime? Yeah, I'll do any of that stuff. And so I was able to string together a really good income. So if someone is physically inclined for that, that's a great way to make cash. But I was able to cut that cord in 2018, and ever since then, just doing YouTube and content creation. You know, that was able to get me to where I am today. So I realized I kind of had to park it in one area, in one geographic area, to maintain that business. But once I was able to get the YouTube cranking, man, we were jamming. Sierra and I, that's when we really started to spread out. Because those finances, you know, it's tight initially.
It's tight. It's very tight.
And I was on a budget of $1,200 a month for the first 3 years.
And so the key to your whole life up until then, and still, is that you were able to live on virtually nothing, $1,200 a month.
Yes, and that included health insurance and car insurance.
Wow, that's astonishing.
Mm-hmm.
And the key there was you went camping. You didn't want to have an apartment on wheels.
No, yeah. I went camping specifically for the cost savings and because I love it. I mean, I'll go camp every day of my life. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm still camping here, even though it's in a camper.
You really are.
But I don't know if I ever want to get into a house because I don't sleep well in like a sticks and bricks place. So, but you know, when I was out there, I realized I'm like, I can harvest energy from the sun, so there cuts out the utility bills. I can purify my water from all these delicious streams that have snow melt coming down. So I got a high volume water purifier that only cost me $150 and it lasts for 4 years, and I was able to get all my water that way. For food, I would actually go out and fish. I basically just had gas expense for travel. And if I was staying in one area, you can easily minimize those costs by not moving around very much. So I just think that living frugally is the way to do it, because if you minimize those costs and you're able to save just a little bit of chunk of money each month, you can get to this. But you have to be really disciplined. And that's the key, because most people don't have that discipline in place. They'll think, you know what, I need that right now, but I'll save it next month. That happens over and over and over, and you're just stuck in first gear. I don't think this lifestyle works very well if you have tons of payments.
Right, no.
Because there's things that come up that you don't plan for, and it's just financially it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So eliminate all that stuff, and then when you can hit the road, just live simply. And that's what I did. I figured out a solution that worked, and people loved it. And I had so many people, hey, I want to do that too. And I'm kind of cool. I want to show it like an economical way to get out there. You don't have to buy a $120,000 rig to hit the road.
So you were in Colorado all winter in a Toyota Tacoma. And how did you stay warm?
Well, so my first winter there, one night it got down to negative 17 degrees, and I was in the Tacoma and I was sleeping diagonally in it. And I thought, this isn't sustainable, because this is the beginning of winter. So what's it going to look like in January, and when there's a bunch of snow on the ground? And so I actually got online and ordered a tent. And this tent was a 12-foot by 14-foot tent, and it had a lot of headroom inside it. At the peak, it's like 8 feet, so it's nice and airy. And I got a wood stove for that too. I grabbed a stove from 4-Dog Stoves. It's called the 2-Dog. And so I got that. It was delivered the day before Thanksgiving on 2015. And the next day we had a 4-foot snowstorm.
Oh my.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this. I have to learn, or else I'm not going to make it, because I was snowed in. And after about a week and a half, the snow finally melted enough to where I get my truck out. But that was like, trial by... People said trial by fire. This is trial by ice. It was crazy.
So Evan, again, if you're interested in seeing amazing winter camping, Brian has a ton of videos. So go check out his channel, Off-Grid Backcountry Adventures, and learn all about winter camping if that's something you're interested in a tent. And so you were on the road for 7 years, and then you bought land. So tell me about the journey from on the road to owning land.
Okay, so after that first year, when I realized I wasn't going to be getting off the road, I thought, well, I will eventually want to get off the road. And so that's when I started to put my budget together and start to save just a tiny little bit every month. And it wasn't much, because I didn't have a whole lot of money coming in, but I was able to start to get a little bit of a nest egg going. And it took me 5 years to get to the point to where I could pay for this in cash. And I bought this land at 14 acres at almost 6,000 feet. It's $20,500 is what I paid. And I feel really fortunate. I got in, before COVID hit, so the price was still really affordable. It's still affordable, but it's gone up a little bit. But, that whole time when I was on the road, staying that disciplined when there's so many things that you want to go do is one of the toughest things that I've ever had to do. I didn't really think that I would stay here like full time, but for the first year and a half, 2 years, I was kind of coming and going. But this year I've really, really got entrenched. Really want to make this my homestead and make a go of it. And I love it here.
So I know for a lot of you, you are interested right now in start looking for land. Maybe you have the money saved. So Brian, tell the audience how you did it and what are the steps to finding an astonishing piece of land like this.
I feel really, first off, I feel really lucky to be out here. Traveling the way that I did for so many years allowed me an opportunity to see so many different spots and really get to a feel for them and feel like, okay, what's the vibe here? Because the vibes are different everywhere you go, and you know this. I always thought that I would find a place either in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, like the mountainous, like the Rocky Mountain region. But I noticed whenever I come out to Anza Borrego for the Super Bloom each spring in California, I'd stop off in this area because I had friends. I've got friends that have been living here for about a decade. And I would camp at this mountain near here, and I'd be like, man, the solitude out here. It's just like, it's so peaceful. And like the birds singing every morning and zero human sounds. And that would always pull me into this area, and I'd look more and more forward to the spring of when I'd pass through here to camp. And then finally one day, I was here, and there's a snowstorm that hit the property that my friends are at in the spring, and it was kind of unexpected because usually by February, March, it's starting to warm up a little bit. But we were socked in for like 4 days, and my friends were like, "Why don't you just buy something out here?" And I was just like, it never occurred to me at that. I was like, "You're right, I should," because I had the money as I'd saved up for so long. The places I was looking at in Colorado, for some reason, the vibe was off. It felt like I was kind of swimming upstream a little bit. And I also looked at some of the codes and everything, and they're real restrictive, and you can't really collect rainwater, and Everything has to be ultra permitted and those things. And I understand. I mean, Colorado has so many people running through there and stuff. I get it. But I just didn't want to deal with that. And so once I figured out what I could do here and, you know, all the leeway that you have, I thought this is a perfect fit for me.
The key to finding land is start today to save. Why even waste your time if you're not going to be disciplined enough to save? If you can't save $200 a month, how are you going to pay $200 a month on money down and then you make payments? So today, this week, put money in your account, your savings account for land. And everywhere you go, broaden your horizons and explore. For one thing you need to be aware of is that the county rules and zoning is the single most important thing about buying land. How did you research the zoning to know you could do anything you wanted on your land, within reason, of course,
right?
And you wouldn't have the zoning guy coming in?
Yeah. So when I was inquiring about the property, I asked the realtor about that. And he had been selling property in this area for his entire life. So he was very well versed on it. He's like, you know, the limitations are 200 square feet or less. You don't need a permit. If you want to live out there full time with a camper, if you plumb in water, then you need a permit for that. But if you just have your water sitting on your IBC tote on your trailer, you're fine. Stuff like that, to where you can get around. And it's not really a getting around code. It's just you don't need code for what you're doing. And they'll work with you on things too. I call the county and ask. You know, people are like, well, you call the county and ask? I'm like, yeah, they know. Like, why wouldn't
They're the experts.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't I call them and ask? And they always tell you, there's this gal there. She's the nicest gal on the planet. I'll email her. She emails me right back. So it's a good living experience. But my property association, the president called me and was like, here's how it works out here, just to give you a heads up. And we resolve any differences internally, because if someone makes a complaint to either law enforcement or county that doesn't live on the land, if it's a neighbor saying, hey, this neighbor next to me is not doing anything, that gives them the right to come on your land. Otherwise, they can't just get on your land and snoop around. So I like that sort of privacy. They respect your privacy and all that stuff. And I'm not out here doing anything illegal anyway. Everything's according to code. But it's just nice that they give you that leeway, you know. And like for the septic, you don't have to spend $15,000, $20,000 on septic if you don't have it. The state of Arizona allows you the 55-gallon barrel drum septic that is approved.
So folks, there you have it, an amazing story. All the path and a guideline is laid out for you, how you can find your own best piece of land. So right now, go and subscribe to Off-Grid Backcountry Adventures, because you'll see that map laid out for you. With you having it in mind, you'll see it laid out for you, and you're going to be so pleased that you did. We did not walk around the property in this video. That will be on another separate video, so watch for it. It'll come out at about the same time as this one, and then we'll walk the land, the astonishingly beautiful land that Brian has here, and we'll see it all in one spot there. So come back for that video for sure. So Brian, thank you so much for helping our audience out and sharing your home with me. We've all loved it.
Well, thank you, Bob. It's been great having you all.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it. If you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.